It's a serene, quiet evening on a still Maine lakeshore, the sound of the wind barely brushing against the trees. But underneath the picture-perfect calm, there's tension in the air. A girl has vanished, and shadows of past secrets begin creeping to the surface, disrupting the fragile peace in the town of Purity. This isn't your average small-town story. This, my friends, is where the Martini Club steps in. Hi there. Welcome to the Book Club Lounge. I'm your host, Sarah Bridgewater. I hope you're doing well because I cannot wait to dive into today's topic. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a group of retired CIA operatives came together to sip martinis and, well, accidentally solve crimes? That's exactly the thrilling premise of Tess Gerritsen's latest novel, The Summer Guests. Now, before we start, let me just issue a quick spoiler warning. Don't worry, though. I'll be keeping it light and spoiler-free, focusing more on the themes and surprises that make this book a must-read. For those of you who love mysteries with clever twists and unforgettable characters, buckle up because The Summer Guests is going to be one thrilling ride. This book is the perfect sequel to Gerritsen's The Spy Coast and centers on a compelling mystery that ties together a missing teenager, long-buried family secrets, and, believe it or not, a crime-solving ex-CIA book club. What really caught my heart was how Gerritsen makes every character feel so real. You'll laugh, you'll gasp, and I promise you'll finish every page wanting more. So for all you thriller lovers out there, if you haven't read this book yet, trust me, it's worth adding to your shelf or your Kindle. I've made it easy for you. As always, you'll find an affiliate link in today's episode notes. When you use it, not only do you support the show, but you also get to sip metaphorical martinis with Maggie and her gang of ex-spies. It's a win-win. All right, now that we've set the scene for this gripping story, let's start getting to know Maggie Bird. She's a former CIA agent who's moved to Purity, Maine, hoping to leave behind the chaos of her past. But, well, peace doesn't come easily when secrets refuse to stay buried. Let's talk about Maggie Bird. And let me tell you, she's anything but ordinary. Maggie is one of those rare characters who feels so vivid, like you've met her, or kinda wish you could. She's retired CIA, but even now you can sense her sharp instincts, constantly worrying under the surface, you know? She's built this quiet life up there in Purity, Maine, surrounded by rolling fog and calm lakes. And here's the thing, it's not really calm, not deep down. Maggie's joined a little, unconventional community called the Martini Club. It's a group of fellow ex-CIA operatives who have also traded the fast-paced spy life for, well, martinis and book club gatherings. Sounds cozy, right? But don't be fooled. These people, they carry layers. Layers of secrets, regrets, and skills sharp enough to cut glass. Gerritsen writes their banter so naturally, you feel like you're eavesdropping on old friends who've just seen too much. Like when Maggie casually says, "A sparrow knows how to stay unnoticed. After all, isn't that what sparrows do?" Ugh, it gave me chills. Now, let's shift to Zoe Conover. She's a local teen. Well, not exactly local. Her upscale, high-society family summers in Purity, staying in a sprawling lakefront estate called Moonview. But one summer day, she vanishes. Just gone. The whole town goes into panic mode, and all eyes turn to Maggie's neighbor, Luther, a reclusive farmer trying to keep to himself. And you begin to ask yourself, wait, could it be him? Maggie, though, doesn't buy it. Not for a second. And this is where Maggie really shines. She steps in, almost instinctively. What I found fascinating was how Gerritsen captured Maggie's internal struggle. She doesn't want to be dragged into this mess, but, and this is a big but, her sense of justice? It's unstoppable. It's like her old training kicks in without her even realizing. She can't help herself. What really stands out is the way the Martini Club members rally around her. They're flawed. Oh, for sure they make mistakes. But their camaraderie is so raw and real. Like when Declan mutters, "We might be old, but make no mistake, we aren't done." It's moments like these that make you fall for this quirky crew. But here's where the tension really ratchets up. As the search for Zoe unfolds, new layers of secrecy, buried for decades, start surfacing. The wealthy Conover family, that picture-perfect, untouchable clan, suddenly feels tainted. And the unease within the town becomes palpable. Is this just a search for one missing girl? Or are we actually peeling back the curtain on something darker? On truths that people in purity never wanted exposed? Ask yourself this. If someone you trusted was suddenly accused of the unthinkable, how far would you go to clear their name? Would you risk everything? Would that trust hold, or would doubt creep in? Ponder on that for a second, because this, folks, is exactly the crossroads Maggie faces. And that's where I'll leave you for now. Things are about to get even messier. Stay tuned as we dive into what happens when a tiny investigation unravels a whole web of secrets right beneath Maine's peaceful facade. All right, let's get into the thick of it. The search for Zoe Conover is no longer just about one missing girl. It's about something much bigger. You start to realize that purity, Maine, isn't as untouched as it seems. It's like a pristine canvas with hidden cracks. And as the investigation gathers steam, those cracks, they burst wide open. Here's where Tess Gerritsen's mastery really shines. The deeper Maggie and the Martini Club dig, the more we see the tension tightening between the people of purity and the wealthy Conover family. Think whispers behind closed doors, sideways glances on the street. Gerritsen makes it feel like the town itself is alive with suspicion. And here's the kicker. During those frantic searches around Maiden Pond, the team makes a ghastly discovery. A corpse, decades old, hidden beneath the still waters. I mean, can you imagine? One mystery suddenly becomes two, and nothing makes sense anymore. But it goes deeper. The body in the pond? It's not just some random tragedy. Its very existence turns into a bridge connecting the Conovers, their guarded secrets, and even Maggie's past. For Maggie, it's like staring at a ghost from her own career, a career she's worked so hard to bury. And honestly, you sense this reluctant pull in Maggie. She didn't choose this investigation, it chose her. One of my favorite lines in the book is when Maggie confesses, "You can walk away from the game, but the game doesn't walk away from you." So relatable, so haunting. Now let's talk about the relationships within the Martini Club and with acting chief Joe Thibodeau. Their chemistry is complicated, to say the least. Joe, bless her, tries to run a tight ship. But it's not easy when you've got a squad of ex-CIA meddlers poking around. There's this moment where Joe practically spits out, "This isn't a spy playground, Maggie." And Maggie, with all that quiet fortitude, just replies, "Maybe it should be." Their back and forth is so sharp, so charged, it adds this incredible layer of drama to the whole story. It's a battle of wills, the seasoned instinct versus the by-the-book authority. Who's right, and who will pay the price? But let's not forget the Martini Club itself. As the investigation heats up, you see fault lines emerge between the members. Declan and Ingrid have this powerful scene where their opposing views almost derail everything. She accuses him of being reckless. He fires back, questioning her loyalty. It's raw, it's human. And all the while, you feel their deep, unspoken respect for one another. It's proof that even the closest friendships can buckle under pressure. It makes you wonder, what would drive you to turn on your closest allies? Or maybe, what would bind you tighter? Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably sitting there clutching your coffee, torn between chaos and curiosity. It's that kind of story. It pulls you in, makes you pick a side. Do you trust Maggie's instincts? Or are you rooting for Joe's controlled approach? And speaking of trust, Zoe's disappearance casts a long shadow over the Conover family. On the surface, they're glossy, picture perfect. But dig just a little deeper, and you'll find years of festering, unresolved grievances. Every interaction between them feels like a power play. Someone's hiding something, and you can't help but try to guess who. But let me leave you with this. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, just when you believe you've spotted the villain, Gerritsen pulls the rug out from under you. There's this moment, a revelation that I promise will leave you stunned. And, I'm being totally honest when I say I literally dropped my book. It's phenomenal storytelling, and I can't wait for us to unravel it together. Stay with me, because next, we're plunging into what it really means for Maggie and her gang to keep their edge in this ever-changing world. It's a chapter you won't want to miss. Throughout this journey with Maggie Bird and the Martini Club, one theme lingers heavier than the others: the tension between what was and what now is. Aging isn't just a marker of time here. It's a challenge, a lens, and even a weapon. Every Martini Club member, despite their former glory, faces the haunting question: can they still rely on the edge that kept them alive in their prime? Writing like Gerritsen's makes you feel that deeply. Like when Maggie says, "We're not old, just well-seasoned, but seasoning doesn't mean the blade never dulls." Doesn't that line linger, like the weight of a cloudy October sky? And wealth. It shifts the stakes in Purity, Maine. The Conover family represents what money can do, both overtly and quietly. It protects them like armor, making their motivations unclear. But sometimes, that wealth, it's a double-edged sword, don't you think? It isolates them too, racks up resentment among those who live simpler lives. It creates distrust, peels back this haughty veneer, to reveal threads of jealousy and entitlement. Even as they try to smooth over their tangled history, it screams that money can't bury the truth. Gerritsen makes you wonder, how much does perception dictate justice? But believe me, this isn't just about secrets, twists, or even the drama. It's about human bonds, flawed, raw, but ultimately resilient. Gerritsen leaves us with relationships that bloom amidst chaos. There's Maggie, the reluctant leader, whose loyalty sometimes feels more like a curse than a choice. Then there's Joe, fighting to prove her worth, balancing law and her own gut instinct. And of course, the Martini Club, these retired spies who remind us that purpose doesn't disappear with age. It's all interconnected, woven into a story about strength that doesn't fade. It just transforms. One thing I loved was how readers responded to that complexity. On Goodreads, one user mentioned how they adored Maggie for showing that heroes don't need the sharpness of youth to make an impact. Someone else called it the Thursday Murder Club on adrenaline. How beautifully messy is that? It's books like this, ones that capture our imperfections so fearlessly, that bring us all together. And honestly, isn't that what makes literature so powerful? It isn't just a mirror, it's also a door. But look, if there's one thing to take from all this, it's that relationships, the good, the bad, the imperfect, they're what hold us upright when the waves crash hardest. Gerritsen wrote a story about spies and secrets, but what she really left us with is a reminder. Trust is hard. And sometimes, it's everything. The Martini Club teaches us this resilience, even if humor and martinis soften the blow. So here's your challenge, my dear listeners. What are the networks in your life that you can lean into? Reach out to someone in your circle today. A friend, family, even a book club mate. and rekindle that bond. Share a moment. Start a new chapter. Because if Maggie Bird has taught us anything, it's this. Life's tangled, yes, but oh, how deeply it rewards connection. And before we part, a quick request. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider hitting like, leaving a comment, or sharing your favorite moment from today. You can also grab your copy of The Summer Guests using the affiliate link provided below. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Your support keeps this cozy little corner of the book club lounge alive. And finally, let me leave you with this image. Picture Maggie Bird by that Maine lakeshore, calm, reflective, but still unyielding. That's life, isn't it? We weather storms, mend what's broken, and keep moving forward, wiser and maybe even braver than before. Thank you for joining me, Sarah Bridgewater, in exploring The Summer Guests. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep embracing the magic of stories. Goodbye, my friends.